How is it going, guys? Welcome to another episode from the Rampant Rider. I'm going to shut this down because it's pretty windy, and I have a big surprise for you. First of all, I'm back in Norwich. The next surprise is that I'm on this beast, a Suzuki Bandit N1200, or also known as the GSX 1200N, I believe. I've kindly borrowed this for my short time here from a good friend who is probably mad to let me borrow it, but he has, so I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity to ride a bike which is essentially twice the size of my SV, and it feels like it as well. No idea why there is a Honda Racing Company sticker on here, but whilst we're on here, outside Carrow Road, football ground to Norwich City FC, yeah baby, I thought I'd do a quick little review. So this is basically the Suzuki Bandits were made from 1996 to 2003. I think they still make some now, like the fuel injected ones, but these editions that were made up until like 2003. This is a first edition, I believe, 96, and it's done 35,000 miles on the clock, so it's definitely running. So 1195 cc, 1200 we'll say. It's not a Ducati. Producing about a power of about 100 brake horsepower, which you wouldn't think is a lot for, a big, 1.2 litre bike. But I tell you now, the amount of torque this bike produces, you don't need any more than 100 brake horsepower, trust me. Inline 4, simple as you go. These 6-pot Nissan brakes are brilliant. So basically the theme about I found about this bike is everything about it is smooth. Everything. And the main feature of that is this clutch, a hydraulic clutch, so no cable at all. Now the gearbox is smooth, the brakes as you put them on are smooth, everything about it, the seating is smooth, the power is smooth, everything about this has just been designed to be so smooth, and I love this bike. Hello. I love this bike, it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to go for a quick spin on it, and it sounds amazing as well. So it's basically a commuter bike, naked style, so it's not going to be too much in your face power. This windshield is quite handy because when you're going you don't want that wind shooting right into your body. I think the only thing I would dislike about general naked bikes is the round wing mirrors, but it sort of goes with the retro style, I think. Oh, my stand's down. That might be why. Yeah, so everything, like I said, everything about this bike is ridiculously smooth. Which way should we go? We'll go this way. Let's go into the centre of Norwich. And the great thing is that it must be a Suzuki thing, because I have to stick my left arm out to indicate, just like my SV. Or is it just that the left indicator on here is broken as well? Yeah, this hydraulic clutch is brilliant. So it works exactly the same as your brakes, in the fact that you put some form of fluid in there, bleed it and pressurise it, and that's how it works. It's I think it's quite clever. Unfortunately, I think that means that you can't really adjust the biting point, and I've noticed that when you first get on it, the biting point's a bit short, but as you sort of pressurise it a bit more, the biting point goes back to like a suitable position, which is pretty decent. It's a bit higher than my SV, so I'm literally having to put the 2 feet down. Yeah, fuel gauge, which is brilliant. I have no idea what this does on the tank yet. I think the fuel gauge, just the whole dash, as we'll call it. Well laid out, simple, easy to use. Use? The fuck are you talking about? Now this is me coming from an SV, which is probably one of the lightest 600s you can get. And this bike is heavy. I knew this bike was heavy just when people telling me it was heavy. And it really is. So it is quite scary when you're dipping it into corners and you feel that weight sort of move over. It is takes a bit of getting used to. But that is me coming from an SV. So this is the lightest bike you'll probably get, well, no. And that means generally shifting around. It's not as, it doesn't handle as light as the SV, but it still handles well. And the weight is really well proportioned around this bike. Don't pull out. There isn't a lot of weight at the front, I admit that, which is why it becomes quite popular to certain stunt bikers. But the bike feels like it wants to stay upright. It doesn't feel like it wants to tip down on you when you stop. It feels like when you're riding along it's quite stable. And I think that's because the weight is proportioned around the bike. It feels really stable. And again, that makes contributes part to it being smooth. Again, this being a naked bike means I can't really filter. I don't want to filter because it's not my bike. I better switch my lights on. Yeah, so this has got heater grips on here as well. And I think this looks nice. I've looked at a lot of the Bandits around this age on eBay and Gumtree, and they come in some horrible colours. I like this in the black, and I like the whoever the previous owner was, what they've done to it. I thought coming off a V-twin and going onto an inline 4 would be very different, but because this bike has got a lot of mid-range power, just like the SV has, it doesn't feel too different. And I imagine the 600 will be very similar. Again, so I'm not going to give it too much, because again, it's a bike I'm not used to. It's good to be back in Norwich though. Shame the shit weather was with it, but I feel like I could go touring on this bike, and I feel like really comfortable on it. And it makes me wonder, like, for this bike you don't need cruise control, you don't need ABS, traction control, and all the stuff that the new adventure bikes bring. If you got yourself one of these and just did a few modifications to it, heated grips, maybe put a new seat on it to make it a bit more comfier, adjust the bars, then you could go touring on this thing and you'd feel really confident on it and real comfortable. And that is the most important thing. I'm just sat here at 30 and my hand position is fine. I can probably sit here all day with that hand position around my. I'm pleased at how this bike is, and this is one of Suzuki's, I would say, well-known bikes, well-known brands. Everyone knows, if you're into bikes and you know of Suzuki, you've heard of a Bandit. And another thing about this bike is, I thought, and a lot of people thought when I first said, oh yeah, I'm going to go and ride this 1200, bloody hell mate, you're going to kill yourself. It's 1200, it's twice the size of your bike, which it is in fairness, but you have to remember the fact that it's only got 30 more brake horsepower than the SV. And although it is powerful and you can tell it's definitely a bigger bike and it's definitely quick, it's not too in your face. You still feel in control of the bike. I think they've got this spot on, this bike. Absolutely spot on. And someone asked me, would you buy one, or I suppose you want one of them now? Well, I do. Yeah, I do. I think it's a brilliant bike, and I wouldn't get a newer one. I'd get one like these because it has this retro look to it. It has this 90s look to it, and I think it looks nice this way. But I wouldn't have one now. I wouldn't sell my SV and buy one of these unless a real good deal came. But the fact that I'm still young, I'm still in the youth, I enjoy riding the sports bikes, and I want to be able to keep enjoying them and riding them whilst I can. But I can see myself in 10, 15 years time getting one of these because I can't ride them anymore, or, you know, I just don't feel comfortable on them. And I can see myself getting one of these and thinking, yeah, I've ridden that and I know it's spot on. Anyone can ride this bike. It's so easy to ride. And people say, oh, 1,000 bikes, you know, what's the point of them? This is a 1200, and I feel safer on this than I do on my SV. You do have to be careful on this bike because, let's just get in front. With my SV and with most of the case of the 600cc's, you can thrash it about and still sort of stick within the speed limits, or not go too crazy. You know, you can really thrash it about and throw it around. Whereas this, you really have to be careful because it does get up to speed insanely quick, as I shall demonstrate now. Absolutely mental. And yeah, you'd expect that from your sports bikes and your super sports, but from one of these, absolutely phenomenal. I love this bike. It just gets up to speed, you feel confident on it. Handles well, and I'd give this an 8 out of 10. And the 2 points knocked off about are probably because of the wing mirrors, and that it's just not sporty enough for me at this moment. It's a brilliant bike. So guys, get this. It's cheap to insure. Get one of these, man. I have actually ridden this bike beforehand. You've seen this featured in my channel before. The day I got my SV de-restricted, I took this bike out, and I was so amazed by what hit me. But now I'm using it as like an everyday bike in an everyday situation. I'm really impressed with it. Really am. I'm impressed. And this bloody wind! I don't mind wind, but when it's making you freeze your nipples off, what's the point in that? Hey, van driver. Oh god, see, you just can't go around the corner because it's like, you know, driving around your nan's tummy, lumpy and horrible. Yeah, this bike is smooth as baby's bum. And I'm so pleased I got to get on this and review it, because I did say I was going to review some bikes this year. So here's the first, hopefully, of many. First class, this bike. First class. You know, bits are cheap. I mean, this is Suzuki we're talking about. Parts are pennies. You can pick one of these up, a decent one up, for about 1,500 quid. Maybe get yourself a bargain, go even lower, and the insurance is not over the top, because it's not an over the top bike. It does what it says on the tin. And I think I find that with a lot of Suzuki stuff. I find that with my SV, it just does the job. My friend knew, he said, this is a grinning machine. He was right. He was right. As with most gearboxes, the gap between first and second is a bit of a clonk. But come on, this is almost 20 years old, this bike, and look, it's still on the road, it's still running just as good. So, yeah, I think the only bad thing I can say about this bike is the weight of it. It is a big bike. You know, you've basically got a car engine between your legs. So I sort of expect it to be heavy, but you really have to take care in the corners. It's definitely a heavy bike. And just shifting it around town, being extra careful. I'm sure on eBay you can pick up some foldable mirrors or bar end ones. But no, this bike is phenomenal. I did the smart idea yesterday of taking this out without the camera, and it was pissing it down. That's the best time to take a new bike out, because you know it's wet. You're not going to be tempted to do anything stupid or to try and push yourself. Now it's dried out a bit, you can sort of, but now you know, I've had a good day on the bike, a good 2 days on the bike. Tell you what, exhaust sounds like it's fucking dribbling like baby poo. Every time I back off the throttle, it sort of spills out air. Doesn't have as much engine braking as you expect from a V-twin, of course. See, look at that shit spit. Spitting like a fancy football player. But this bike is fun. There's no way at all boring, this bike. Do you know what? I'd have to take the 600 Bandit out and compare that to this. Right, I think that'll be it. But it is good to be home, and it is exceptionally good. Yeah! Sorry, I had to do that. It is exceptionally good to have the privilege to ride this. So again, I can't thank my mate enough. I don't know if I want his name mentioned, so that's why I'm sticking it to mate. Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. You what, mate? I'll give it to you. I'll give it you. Yeah, it's definitely great, and I'll see you on the next vlog. Happy days!